Hi there, this is Boris Joaquin for Rappler Talk, and we'll be talking to Marcus Tan. He's the co-founder of Carousell. It's the recently successful app for buy and sell, which started in Singapore and in 5 years is present in 7 countries with 100 million listings. Recently, they've been awarded as one of the top 10 best tech company to work for in Singapore and is the winner for the startup category. We're going to talk to Marcus and talk about their team culture and how they came about their startup success. So welcome to Rappler, Marcus.
Thank you, Boris, for this opportunity to be here. And super excited to share more about Carousell, our culture, and where we're heading.
So Marcus, tell us about the story behind Carousell.
Carousell was started mainly because we were inspired, after spending a year in the US, we were inspired by using technology to solve problems. So when we came back, we were just solving a particular frustration of selling stuff online. So that was the whole idea. As a solution to a frustration, we went to a hackathon competition to build a first version of Carousell, and thankfully we won it. And that was the biggest takeaway and validation of people actually wanted to sell their underused stuff. Since then, we became number one in Singapore, and we expanded across the region. And Philippines is one of our fastest growing markets. It's the fastest to hit 500,000 listings in less than 6 months. And currently, we have about 4.2 million listings, and of which 1.2 has been sold. That shows the liquidity, the engagement of the community here in Philippines.
What's the vision or mission for Carousell?
So how we see it is that our mission is to inspire everyone in the world to start selling. And how we view it is that everyone can and should be able to sell, to use their phone, to snaply sell something within less than 30 seconds. So that's how we envision it. We see it as a world where anyone should be participating in this. There should be no reason why I can't sell something. So that's the whole rationale. I mean, that's the whole motivation behind this, and we innovate behind this. And the reason why is mainly two things. One, that is very savvy to sell online, mainly to make space for new things, to make money as a seller, because you'll otherwise be thrown away or wasted. From a buyer, it saves money buying instead of buying firsthand. The second thing is meaningfulness, where you're actually passing on something that has still good, still sentimental to someone else, and someone may not be able to benefit from it. And secondly, it's also doing our part to build a more sustainable world, especially as more e-commerce comes to happen in Philippines or in this region. More and more people are buying first-hand stuff and a lot of things can be wasted. So why not have a platform where people can quickly sell, snap this sell, and share it and pass it on to someone else.
What do you think is the key ingredients for the success of your company?
So just to clarify, 100 million listings.
Listings, yes.
So I think the key thing is really it resonates. It shows that the problem they're solving is real, in a sense where people find it very simple. That's why they are listing all these pre-loved stuff, underused stuff onto the platform, onto the community. The transactions, 38 million have been sold. So every 10 items, nearly 3 to 4 items has been sold. That shows the quality of listings on the platform itself. And it just goes back to the point where as this region continues to develop and grow, more and more people are coming online to shop. And that's where more and more consumption is leading to still very, very good first-hand or pre-loved stuff. And that's where Carousell is the solution to build this community where people can connect with like-minded fashion lovers to health and beauty, to gadgets, to toy collectors in a long tail of stuff where they can trade with one another, they can buy and sell one another. So there's a huge opportunity here to build that platform for this group of people.
Now, aside from that, let's talk about your team. What do you think are the good qualities about your team that allows your business to reach this far?
Yeah, I think so. For a few things, so I think besides just the growth of this market, as well as more and more smartphone users, more and more internet people coming on board, coming online for the first time, we also see a very group of young and hungry, what we call millennials. Just Philippines alone, about nearly half or more than half, 60%, between 18 to 35 years old. People here are coming online to find new experiences, they're saving money, and that's where they ended up using Carousell to do that. And it's also testament to affluent people coming on board to do all these things. And with all these with our inroads to develop this product, is obviously behind the great people behind it, the right people behind all these things. So when we first started, it's just the three of us. Now we have close to 200, and our culture has always been very focused on problem solving. So we have 5 core values, and to us, culture is really 3 things. It's like who we hire, who we grow and develop, and probably who does not fit, and we transit them out. So mainly how we hire. So we spend a lot of time in terms of the interview process. We have 5 core values that it's within how we evaluate. So the first one is problem solving, because that's why we started as founders, because we wanted to solve a problem. So identifying people who are problem solvers, people who are mission first, where they put team's interests above personal interests. They care deeply about the problem that we're solving. They care about user experience, they care about people. So that's very important core value that we have. They're super resourceful, relentlessly resourceful, scrappy people who can do more with less. And lastly, people who are super humble, who stay humble. Because we truly believe that for us we have a 10, 30, 20, 30, 50-year view on the company, on where the company is heading. We want people to be hungry to learn, to kind of reinvent themselves or even disrupt or cannibalize what's actually done previously. So we want people who are humble to learn all these things. So these are the 5 core values that we invest a lot in the hiring process. Once we hire the right people, we look at how we grow and develop them. So putting it's something that we have developed over recently, because as we scale, we needed to make sure that the leadership team has the right training. So we have workshops. We also have mentorships in terms of hiring. We build our executive team where people with people management skills, people with wisdom to come on board to actually coach the more of the junior mid-level level, where they were previously individual contributors. They joined very early stage on Carousell and become like managers right now. So we grow and develop this, and also based on those core values that I just talked about.
Okay.
And lastly, we also aware and we also be aware where people who don't fit, we will transit them out, or maybe transit them out and then find a replacement and so forth. So these are the things that will tie back to this culture here at Carousell.
When it comes to recruiting the right people, how do you know that they are the right talent to be part of your dynamic and ever-growing team?
So we have a 3 to 4 interview process where we have the sourcing. We look at the application, making sure that it fits the job description, of course, the resume, whatever they say in the resume makes sense. So that's something that we have a in-house tech recruiter to put it specifically. So we have 2 people who works on that. And then we bring them in on site, or we schedule online Google Hangout, where that second stage is more towards talking to the team, where there will be a competency, team dynamics conversation. Are they the right fit within that team? Do they have the right core competencies, technical competencies? So that one sometimes takes more than one meeting or one chat. It could be 2 to 3 chats depending on which role. But the general idea here is that it's more towards assessing the skill sets and also the team dynamics, and how does it work in a team environment. So the third one will be the core values we just talked about, the 5 core values. And that's where, as founders, we still chat with every single one that comes in. So we invest a lot on this front. So it takes sometimes a few days where we cram all that into 1 or 2 days, to even a little bit longer for 2 to 3 weeks, depending on bandwidth and time availability. So we invest a lot of time on the hiring process here at Carousell.
Okay. Now that you find the right people, how do you retain them?
So that's something that we are new to, actually, because the reality is our growth only started to pick up 2 to 3 years in, and a lot of the hires were made actually last year. So we are now at a stage where a lot of these hires, they are 1 year, 2 years, or maybe no, actually most of them is a 1 year in mark. And we started to see how we can have career progression, develop them. And that's something we are building right now. In fact, it's not out yet, but something that We hired a head of people to come on board. She just joined about less than half a year in. She's working on that right now, building like the appraisal system, performance management, looking at how we can groom people. So we also have concurrently like leadership workshops where we have a consultant come in to actually share workshops. For example, how to drive performance, how do you give feedback, how do you communicate written or verbally. So these are the kind of things that we do here at Carousell to develop the leadership layer, the manager layer, and to engage them so that they have the tools to groom the more junior or the individual contributor levels. And also a lot of these managers are, most of them first-time managers, which who join us very early on, who are like part of like early days, and they have since built up the skills, the knowledge, the technical know-how, and we want to develop them into the next level where they become managers and help groom the next generation of themselves, and also for them to challenge themselves to be a leader themselves. So these are things that we deliberately kind of like groom and engage them and so forth. So that's something that's super important as well. At the end of the day, like, we can talk about all this strategy, we can talk about all these tactics. The most important is I would say people, the right people. Which I think you're going to talk about the last part. Like, how do you find the right people, right?
Can you describe to me your team culture on how you engage your employees on a day-to-day basis?
I think the key thing is like, I was just chatting with, I've been doing a lot of research on this. I think the key thing is that it's a fast environment. So objective has to be set clearly. That's something that we learn, and that's something we deliberately set out at Carousell. So we have this OKR process, which is objective O, K means key, and R is results. So objective, key, results. So what we learned when we were like 30 to 50 people was that people weren't aware of what were their focus on what to work on. So we read the Glassdoor reviews, we got feedback from on the ground. People don't know what the objective is. So what we learned is that these hungry people, they're people who want to move fast, they want to know what are the objectives and key results to measure their own performance, for example. So we deliberately set out this OKR process. It's actually something that Google does. Intel pioneered it, Intel, the company, then Google implemented it. We also use that at Carousell, where we set OKRs company level and team level, where every quarter we do that, we set that. And during that quarter, we have a weekly check-ins on how far we are the OKR. So that's something that we had deliberately done. And also goes back to our core value of solving problems, where we define the problems we want to solve, which is the objective, and we define what is success, what is winning, for example, that particular objective, achieving that particular objective, which is the key results. So all those are quantifiable metrics that we have, that we set up. So for example, growing Philippines, what does it mean, right? We have this particular number of listings, number of transactions, and so forth. So that's a very high level one. Obviously, you can go one level down. How do you have leading indicators to end up with that lagging indicator? So we deliberately set this up every quarter, so the team would come together, and it's kind of like ground up as well to some extent. What can be done, what can't be done. If they say can't be done, let's try to see what can be done then. So we have a stretch goals. Obviously, it has to be stretch goals where people will challenge themselves and so forth. So this is something that we learn as a company, where the generation, where they want to know like what is success for them and what is the goals of the company.
Okay. For most startup companies, they normally don't give priority to employee engagement or to company culture. Simply it's because it's not their main investment at this point. But for your company, you seem to invest a lot in building up your people. Can you give advice to other startup entrepreneurs out there on what's the best approach for them to engage their employees?
So I think there are three things. I think the first one is to be honest. I think that's very important. Like going back to our core value of staying humble. For example, for myself, if I do not know, I'll just say I do not know. If I make a mistake, I'll be first to actually admit that. I think that's where the the millennials generation, they want that authenticity. They want us to be upfront if we screw up or we do not know. And that's why we eventually we built our executive team, because we realized that our mission to inspire everyone in the world to start selling, we cannot do it alone. And it's also why that we have a local on-the-ground team here as well, because we do not know all these things. So as leaders or any startup is to acknowledge what you're lacking and to find that complementary person, skill sets, or whatever that happens. The reason why we have 4.1 million listings and 1.2 million items sold is because of the team here in Philippines have done an amazing job. So that's important, acknowledging what you're lacking as a leader and finding that. The second thing is, I think, giving feedback real time and fast. So we have online employee survey that we run in fact, it's very spontaneous. Every week we send, every few days, it'll be sent through Slack. So Slack is our internal messaging communication system, where we have an online survey being sent out, and people anonymously can give feedback or can just share their thoughts.
Yeah.
And whether it's a good, bad, we have a lot of good thoughts. We also get a lot of positive thoughts, but we also have a lot of constructive feedback on how to improve. And that's where we read up. Some are anonymous, some are not anonymous, and we reach out to them, we comment. So these are things where the generation right now, they want to be able to spontaneously or anonymously give their feedback, and quick and real time. Typically, previously, feedback was done every year or maybe every half a year or every quarter. That's too slow, because by the time you finish a quarter, that's about 8 to 12 weeks.
Yeah.
Things change in the business world, in the startup world, everything changed. So how can we engage the millennials? How can we engage employees real time as fast as possible? That's something that we deliberately do with this online survey tool that we subscribe for. And the third one I think is very important is also just to be on the ground as well, right? Like for us, like for myself, I try to meet up, or just to meet not just the users but also the team, understanding what are the challenges and so forth, and continuously figure out what to improve and what not to improve. So being open, being accessible. Like how we sit in our office is that we sit right smack in the middle of the whole office area. We don't have any like meeting rooms or our own rooms. We have open office concept where everyone can get access to us as a management. I hate to use the word management, but more like the people who help coordinate the strategy. We all sit right smack in the middle. So there's no excuse, or not excuse, there's no way they can miss us. Maybe they don't want to see us, but there's no way if they want to find us, they can
have no
find
choice
us.
already there.
Yeah, they can find us, right? And then if they want, we have meeting rooms, that's where we can have a quiet time for thinking and meetings, but we sit right smack in the center, so we're very accessible. So that's something that's very important. That's where we believe is super important, where people can get access to us. Yeah.
Thank you, Marcus, for being with us and for sharing your valuable insights behind your startup success.
Yeah, thank you, Boris.
There you have it. I hope you've learned from this session on Rappler Talk. This conversation is to give you some insights on how to help you with your business or with your existing career. I hope that's something that you would carry on in whatever you're doing right now.